Hola, welcome to Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes, a bilingual podcast that shares interviews with self-made millionaires, financially savvy investors, and all things financial literacy and dinero. Your host, Natalie Torres, is a two-time TEDx speaker and award-winning author, investor, and financially savvy Latina that has been featured on NBC, Telemundo, and Forbes as a financial literacy and mental health advocate. She is joined by her co-host, Vera Eagley, an author, investor, and seasoned insurance professional. Hello. Welcome to Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes, our last episode of the year. Can you believe that, Vera?
It flew by. Honestly, I feel like it was just 2022 and now we're going into 24. What?
I can't even go. And even when we're doing this episode today, I was like, no, it feels like I still have a month left in the year, but I'm completely off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been kind of bizarre. Like I felt like I think everyone thought 2023 was like, that's the year, the comeback from COVID. But it was kind of like a neutralizing year. I'm not complaining. Yeah. It was okay.
Yeah, you know, I felt like it started to feel like a better, I saw like the gray light at the end of the tunnel, but I also felt sometimes it was like a wah year, you know, like,
totally.
Let's hope 2024 is better.
More in 24, that's a new thing. More in 24.
Yeah, definitely. 24, I like that. And 24, you know, that was Kobe's number, where, you know, RIP Kobe, Laker fans here. So I'm definitely a fan of 24 being the year. And you know, I've talked a little bit about what we wanted this episode to be about. So many of us are doing like, not necessarily me in particular, but I know there's moments where I'm like, no, I think I did one, a goals resolutions or whatever you want to call it, New Year's. But I think it's more important to reflect on the stuff that has happened and what we learned from 2023. So you and I was thinking of like, well, let's kind of talk about our top ones that made us hopefully better people, hopefully better investors. What comes to mind when you think of what you learned in 2023?
What I learned in 23, well, I sold and bought a house. It's not that I haven't done that before, but what I learned is that I'm really patient. Like I have a high threshold for pain. Like I'm not afraid that my house is not going to sell. I'm not afraid that sometimes you have to negotiate certain things. I have a very high threshold, and I think a lot of people don't, and the anxiety really kicks in. So that's something really that I find very, very important if you're going to be investing in anything that you do, especially if you're in a partnership. One of you might be less tolerant, more anxious, and the other one is kind of like, everything's going to work out. That's me. So I just found that I'm really that person. Like I really think everything's always going to work out. So that's a big learning because you and I, Natalie, we don't do things individually, right? We do have spouses. So communication and listening is super important. That's another thing that I learned, that sometimes I don't fully listen to understand. And I have to understand that my partner might not, his threshold is not the same as mine. So I really have to be also compassionate about that.
100%. I think about it. It depends on the situation where sometimes I'm the optimistic and like, yes, everything's going to work out for me. Shout out to Abraham Hicks for that meditation that I was listening to when I'm freaking out.
Totally.
And sometimes it's the opposite. Yeah. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes my husband's like, keep it cool. He has to like tap me to remind me like, hey, it's going to work out. So you're right. It's having that partnership. And I think that's a good one. That's a good lesson to have. And every property that I always tell people too, I feel like every buy or sell is always different. It's rare that it's cookie cutter, right? Unless you're buying like a huge development together where there's a bunch of different, but I think every time there's always something that slightly changes, especially with the way real estate market is, as far as, contracts change all the time. We see a lot of things that are depending on zoning. So I think that's kind of a big learning curve that always happens on every sale. So congrats to you again. 2023 was definitely a prosperous one for you. So I'm really happy for you. And I think I'm going to add on to the same with you as kind of not the buy and sell of our home, but the new laws that are in place, things that I've thought would never change within our city. And for those that are listening, we're in Los Angeles. So for me, Los Angeles is very unforgivable because it's really difficult to, one, you can't really buy new land. Everything's already existing. But the fact that with now these ADUs and, new developments that are coming about, especially where I live, it's like a brand new building is up almost every week. There is so much development. I mean, we're close to downtown. We're like 15 minutes away. And the real estate market is just always going up, which is insane. And there's moments where I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like a mini New York, as far as we see these sky rises getting taller. But for me, it was a learning experience of the things that I thought wouldn't change as far as zonings go for additional units have changed and will continue to change. So it also gave me I think that's my number 2 is a timeline for myself. I'm big on setting goals, but not so always focus on the deadline, because that can help and sometimes not help. And I don't always want to focus on like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get there? No, that doesn't really matter. It's the end point that will happen. Right. So, for me, it was helpful to just kind of have a game plan, literally looking at a physical building plan and the zoning and dealing with all the people that are going to be basically doing everything. So that's been one of my top 2. Any mistakes or anything that you learned from 2023 that you're like, oh, I wish I didn't do that, or I wish I would have known?
One of the things that I learned is that because I am patient, that's one thing, but I need to speak up more about it. So in many things this year, I think I could have said like, hey, let's pump our brakes a little bit and just wait and see, right? Versus just like kind of saying everything will work out, because it always does. But my mistake was not being as vocal and standing up for something that like my intuition was telling me. That's a big learning. Usually I'm pretty good about that, but this year I was kind of like bamboozled. There was just kind of like too many things going on. So that was a big learning. I just got to listen to my gut.
I like that. Listening and being patient, right? It's just kind of like we want something right now. And for me, definitely, I'll say more than once this year, I wish I would have taken a beat and say, I'm going to take a month to think about that before moving forward. Because then, in hindsight, I look forward and I'm like, oh, I could have saved a few $1,000s if I would have just taken the moment to just sit down and go through the process. Granted, the majority of the decisions I make, I try to make them pretty quickly, obviously after the research. My husband's more of the let's sit down, read through everything, and then just go through it. And even just trying to set up today's episode, like he does all the details, all the tech stuff. And for me, I lose my patience when it comes to that. So looking back, there's 2 things that I thought, oh, you know what? If I would have waited a few months, if I would have maybe shopped around a little more. And sometimes that happens where things, you have to get them done or fixed so that you're going to end up paying more out of pocket. And so one of them was that instance. And I think back and I'm like, oh, now that there's these resources where you can literally shop online and compare prices, if I would have given myself those extra few days, really would have made a bit of a difference. So 2024, I'm looking for the time of patience and a time of just being able to sit with myself, because when it comes to financial decisions, we have to have that opportunity to do so. And I think sometimes, and you said this, your realtors can be, or people that you work with or trying to sell you something, are very eager to get it done, that sometimes they're pushing you to make a decision that you're not fully 100% on board.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And for me, just one of the things for 24, more in 24, I'm going to be more vocal about how I feel. So as I said, it was a mistake. It's not really like a mistake. It's not like I failed. It's just like, an awareness of, where was I quiet when I shouldn't have been, especially when investing, luckily it wasn't about losing money. It was more about just little decisions that I wish I had waited on something.
I love it.
That's my goal.
I like the vocal side. And you're right. It really is a superpower to have a voice, to have the education and experience and knowledge behind that, right? And I'm gonna piggyback on you because you made me think of that, where another thing that I learned was accountability from those people that know that particular deal, right? So one for a particular example, I end up emailing my mentor, and I copied her partner with this and her colleague, and I said, "Hey, ladies, I am emailing you this," and I'm pretty sure I sent that email like super early, because sometimes I'll get up early, like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm like, I'm emailing you this so that one, you can keep me accountable, because it's going to be less than 8 months from now that I have this huge speaking engagement that I've worked so hard for 20 something years to do, and I have to complete it by this time, basically to prepare to be on stage. And I said, I'm emailing you this just to make sure that you keep me accountable that I can't back out on it because it'd have to be this whole new other process. And they were quick to respond that same day. We're like, we got you. You can do this. And it was scary to send that email because I also had to remind myself, I'm sending this email. Not only am I putting myself out there with that request, but that also says I'm committing myself to thousands of hours of preparation, hours of actually writing out what I'm going to be presenting. And then also just trying to figure out what my topic, hone down on the topic in such a short amount of time. I always think it's funny when people are like, oh, you're doing a presentation or you're doing, doing a talk. And I'm like, yeah, those 8 minutes to maybe 80 minutes, depending on what I'm given, can really make the difference. And sometimes it's really hard to tell your life story in something as short as 15, 30 minutes. So
yeah, I think those are the ones that take a year to prepare for. Absolutely. Or like you said,
sure.
You prepared the last 20 years for this. And this is the last stretch and you're going to work at it every single day. That's just how it is.
Yes. And to add on that, preparation is key the year prior, right? So 2024, for those that are listening, don't feel like, oh my God, I already started the year and I feel like I haven't really accomplished anything last year, whatever. Don't even look at it that way. Say, okay, what am I preparing now? Because you might not see the fruition till years to come. And oftentimes that's happened to me where I'm like, I remember buying a copyright barcode that I needed for something that I ended up not doing. And I had it for like 2-3 years and ended up using it later instead of having to purchase something new. It's like, so all these things that end up and you're like, oh yeah, I spent thousands of dollars doing this. Did it pay off? Sometimes it doesn't right away. And in the future it does. So figure out that preparation is key and it can take some time.
Oh my God. So patience, preparation, patience. I mean, it goes hand in hand. It's easy to remember. 2 P's.
Yes. Yet so frustrating to follow through on.
Oh, I know. Hey, and that's something that when you say that you touch upon, because I think a lot of people think that perfection should also be tossed in there, and it really shouldn't. I mean, look at us, it's 2023 and we're like, we're almost there.
Yeah. If people are watching this video, we're not wearing makeup. We got our comfortable clothes on. I mean, our studios look awesome, but it's just that where I'm like, we have to get this done before the end of the year because we want this episode out for everybody. But you just said it. It's like, it's not perfection. And I that's my goal, actually. I'm going to share a goal. I know we're talking about what we learned in 2023, but my 2024, my goal is to purposely put things on social media that are more, I've always tried to be as authentic as me. You look at my feed, it's not like I'm fake, but I want to be able to be like, yo, this is what it looks like. Like right now I have major allergies on my eyes. So I'm super swollen, just frustrated, but pushing through to getting the work done. And last week that happened to me where I had to show up for an interview for Univision again. And I forgot what the night before, basically I had like hardly any sleep and I still committed to go through with it. And I'm like, this is what it looks like being exhausted and then still following through. And then the producer after, she's like, oh my God, and you still showed up and did the work. And I'm like, yeah, this is kind of what it is. So you can't always be glam when you want to, compared to some other videos that I've done before for them. And it's like, wow, I look so refreshed. I had my makeup and hair done. So the reality of, a boss life is trying to balance both. So that's absolutely kind of my goal for 2024.
I know sleep really likes to be elusive, right? When you need it most. So that's when, I don't know, you just have to embrace it, kind of slide into things.
Yes. And 2023, another thing it taught me, maybe we can end with one each, but is less stuff. I want to, I try to embrace the minimalism that is, but it's sometimes really difficult, especially when you work from home. I think my husband and I, we both have like our own offices. And so, trying to distinguish what's your home and what's your home office, and then what you combine and what you don't combine can be somewhat tricky. And so sometimes you feel like you have multiple things and, it just adds up. And so I decluttered a lot throughout the year, which I think I did a pretty good job, but I know I could do better. And I thought 2023 really taught me how valuable something is. And if something is sentimental to me, how I can pass that on to someone else so I don't feel guilty getting rid of it. Because I think sometimes the financial side sticks in my head where I'm like, oh, but this is worth this. I should keep it. But then it's like, well, it's also taking up room. It's causing me more anxiety. It's not being purposeful in my home anymore, or in my office. So it's also not only what I learned, but what I plan to do for 2024.
Oh, that's really good. I think just to take that on, I'm going to let go of guilt. I'm going to leave it in 2023. There's a lot of little things that it's so easy to feel guilty about. Like, I left California, so there's family there. And thankfully, my mom is super healthy. But of course, like my brother will joke, like, you abandoned mom. I'm like, dude, you're still there. Like, it's like,
he's
he
leaving
just
you the
likes
responsibility.
yeah. And it's just, I'm going to leave that behind. And I think it goes hand in hand with being a little more vocal about things. Guilt, especially as a Latina, it's like, it's there since day one. If you're the oldest daughter, there's a lot of expectation. But you know what? It's not my expectation. So that every year I shed more and more of that. So I'm going to leave that behind and move forward with, again, just being more vocal and feeling less guilty of tons of self-love and self-care.
I love that. Less guilt. Yeah. I mean, you add that with the Catholic upbringing, Latina, you said being the eldest, there's just that responsibility or pressure that
and
happens.
Society too, because I have I just found out today that one of my staff, she's actually pregnant, and she's on bed rest, and I worry for her because it's I don't want her to think that she's not going to have a job when because she's on bed rest. And it's just, as a woman, it's so difficult to balance all of that, to balance like still showing up, as you said, being the boss that you are, not being exhausted, putting on makeup, dealing with family. Like, it's a lot. So we just have to leave that guilt behind and just say, hey, this is what I need right now. And trust me, most bosses are very understanding of it. You just have to be vocal about it.
You're so right. We have to remind ourselves that we give them the slack. Like, we should be able to give ourselves the slack too, right? So it's helpful. I like how you say you're going to leave guilt behind. I'm going to do my best to let go or leave the ego behind. And what I mean by that, not necessarily in a vain way, but sometimes we attach so much of ourselves, our work, with our ego. And for me in the past, which I think 2024, I might do the same thing over again, but I'm going to do my best to be mindful about it, where, I don't want to say no to certain things that I really want to be a part of or want to work for, collaborate with. But it's also drains me out. And so for me to be able to say, you know what, I can pass that on to someone else that would, be great for it. Allowing myself that, those opportunities can come again, or if not that opportunity, is something else. And so sometimes I forget myself that it's connected to my ego, not necessarily that's helping me. So, and I've seen it in the past that it's worked when I'm like, you know what, it's not for me, but I know someone that I'd recommend. I love working with you too. So I always tell people, hey, she's awesome. So it really does work in our favor. So I'm going to do my best to do that, because I want 2024 about taking care of ourselves. You just said, like, my mother-in-law, her health is great, by the way. If those have been following, better, so much better. She's finally home. So for us, this holiday season had changed so much because she'd been in the hospital for over a year. So things like that, you start to appreciate more of, like, oh, I just want to spend more time with family. I love seeing her smile, and just those little things that we take for granted. So with that said, 2024 is just literally a few days away. What's the one thing that you want to, let's end it with a goal. Why not? Or not even, we've done goals before, but why not end it with, what's the gratitude you want to leave for 2023? And I'm going to say the schedule that my husband and I, the flexibility that we have with our work, with our careers that we've taken so long to build to get to this point, to be able to say, you know what, I can focus on this, seeing family, being in hospital and all these things that I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, a few years ago, that wouldn't have been an option for me. And now to say that I have, it's worth it. So, yeah.
So everyone, we wish you a lot of Well, we hope you had a lot of joy in 23, first of all, from both of us, and a very farewell into 2024. Happy New Year from Financially Savvy in 20 Minutes.
Happy New Year. Woohoo.
Bye.
To learn more about the podcast, follow us on Instagram at FinSavvy in 20 Minutes and catch our interviews on YouTube. If you want to become a sponsor, hire us for your next workshop or speaking engagement, reach out to us at financiallysavvyin20minutes.com or send us a DM. All it takes is 20 minutes out of your day to become financially savvy.